All right, so we're going to be going over here today. My idea for a more challenging, more difficult franchise mode in Madden. This is for playing solo, not for playing with other people. If you are into playing, the connected franchise and all that, I think I've never actually played in a connected franchise, but you think playing with other humans that provide all the challenge you need. Me personally, I really enjoy just playing the game by myself, and also my my work schedule makes it kind of difficult to commit. So I think a lot of these leagues do like a 48-hour advance. There's just sometimes I'm just not available, for a week or 2 weeks straight, and yeah, it's really difficult for me to commit to. So, or maybe you really enjoy playing solo, and I think that's great because I really do myself. Um, but what I found playing is that the game can just get really, really, really easy after a while. After you just kind of figure out like how to work the computer, the trade logic, the free agent logic, all this stuff. You manipulate everything, and then you get to the point where you just have this team with like all 90 overall players, and you're going 16-0, winning all the Super Bowls, and it's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm done now. I guess I've beat the game. So I want to try to add some replayability, and I mentioned replayability. One of the things that I see a lot of people do to try to make franchise more challenging is they do these teardowns. They pretty much like their team gets the death penalty. So, they'll say it's like, all right, it's like I released every single player on the team that was above a 70, just started from there, or like they'll trade away all the players and get draft picks, would seem to be infinitely easier than just releasing all the players. The problem with those methods is once you get through that initial stage, the game is easy again. Like after you've broken through, you're like, all right, so I have absolutely nothing on my team, but now I've drafted all these good players. I finally reached the playoffs. You just have momentum. You just keep rolling. So the rules that I have in place are well, I try to make it where it continues to be a challenge. So, like, let's say you win the Super Bowl one year. It shouldn't just be you win the Super Bowl and then you're going to win every other Super Bowl. Hopefully, it'll continue to be a challenge and it can continue to be fun over the course of the franchise. So, all right, the rules that I've made are pretty simple. Actually, you could just kind of boil them down to don't rip off the computer in trades and don't sign all the good free agents. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's a lot of it. So we'll get to the first rule here. I have all these files ready to show. Okay, so the first rule, and this seems really obvious, is you have to simulate all the games. You cannot select force win, which if you're not familiar with what that is, you can come over here to your schedule and you can select any game and you can force a win. You can force a loss. You can force a tie if you want to. I don't know why you'd force a loss or a tie. It's kind of interesting. I guess maybe if you're like doing pretty bad late in the season, you're competing for that number one overall pick and you want to ensure that you get it. I could see that. So yeah. But there's no forcing wins, losses, ties. Like whatever the result is your result. You go with it. The other thing is you cannot play the games. And whenever I played, it seems like what I used to do, is it seemed like my teams would always start off like really, really slow at the beginning of the year. I got this team that's an 87 overall. I guess the way they had the ratings in the previous years, maybe even a 90, 95 overall. And I'm like, all right, we have a really good team. Like, we should be able to do something. And then we start the year 1-3. I'm like, oh, it's like, what's going on, guys? It's like, let me play a game, kind of get them going, get some momentum. And it would do that. Like, I don't play on a higher difficulty. So I would play and beat the computer 63 nothing. all my guys' morale would skyrocket, and they'd roll on through the season. You're like, well, I just played one game. It's not a big deal. But really, that one game really is a big deal because what I said, you increased all your players' morale, which affected every game after that, the rest of the season. So, rule number one is simulate all the games. All right, so rule number two, and there might be some people that disagree with this rule, but for me personally, I find that this makes it a lot more challenging. Is I pick a scheme and then I stick with it. You pick whatever scheme you want, doesn't matter. But whatever scheme it is, you stay with that the entire franchise. And I guess you could kind of look at it as like if you're a head coach, like all right, this is my scheme, this is the way I've done things, way I've always done things, and I'm just going to continue to do them that way. Nobody can tell me anything. So it brings challenge to it because let's say you have a draft, and sometimes you can see in the draft whenever you're scouting, there's a player coming up that's just so much better than every other player. Just better than any player you've ever seen in the draft. I remember one time I saw a defensive tackle. He had a 7.7 combine. He was 21 years old, 7.7 combine. He had it was like A minus, A minus in his top three skills. It's like you could tell this guy was just going to be a beast. He didn't fit my scheme. I went ahead and drafted him anyways. He fell to like middle of the first round, which was insane. But I went ahead and drafted him anyways, even though he didn't fit my scheme. So it kind of hindered his development a little bit earlier on. But I went with it because it's like, hey, as a coach, this is what we do, and you're going to fit in with our scheme. And you're good enough that we're going to draft you. But it kind of makes the draft more difficult because you're only looking for these certain players every single year. So that's rule number two is pick a scheme and stick with it. All right. Rule number three. So this year they added something that I really like to the game, and that is the hidden development traits. All right, so we're going to look here at N'Keal Harry of the Patriots, and he has a hidden development trait. Now, I've already played through a couple seasons previously with the Patriots. I know that this is a star. Now, for players that you draft in future drafts, you get this hidden development trait. Let's say we had another receiver that was a 74 overall, 21 years old, same thing. And we're trying to decide, it's like, all right, who do we want to focus train? Do we want to focus train N'Keal Harry? Do we want to focus train this new receiver? Let's say that we have N'Keal Harry. We still have Edelman on the roster. Let's say that we'd signed another receiver during the offseason. So let's say we have three receivers that are ahead of this new rookie that we drafted who's got the hidden potential. Well, what do we do? Do we get rid of Edelman? Do we get rid of the guy we just signed in free agency? Do we move on from N'Keal Harry? Let's say that N'Keal Harry doesn't fit our scheme. Do we move on from one of these guys and make sure that the new guy gets snaps? We're not really sure. We know that he's going to be at least a star. This new guy we've drafted, we don't know how good. If we knew for sure that he was going to be a superstar X factor, then 100%, we're clearing the way. Like he's getting snaps, he will play, this new guy. But if he's just a star, that really changes things. I don't know. Do you move heaven and earth to make sure the star plays? No, you don't move heaven and earth. Maybe you'd move on from the free agent you just signed. Maybe you'd say, Edelman, he's getting a little bit older. You move on from him. But having the hidden development trait really adds a lot of challenge to it. So one of the rules, the third rule, is you do not look at the hidden development trait, because all you have to do is just go in here to the player traits and the edit player, the edit player menu, and it tells you at the very top his development is star. It's really easy to do. You just back out And there you go. Now you know. So now you can make that decision if if you want to play your newly drafted player with a hidden development trait or not. Now, rule number 4 is kind of related to that. Is you can edit players, but the only thing you can edit is their position. So N'Keal Harry, he's a good example of a player that you might edit. He's a physical archetype receiver. And those actually translate really well to tight ends. So let's change him to a tight end. For some reason he didn't change. Let's see. It says it's a tight end up there. Let's try this again. There he goes. All right, so he's over here in the tight end position. Just kind of an aside, showing you an example of someone you could change to a tight end. And now it does come at a cost. You see, he's got the vertical threat 77 overall, so that is higher than his highest overall as a receiver, which was a 74, which he had in the physical. But with this 77 vertical threat, you also have that 43 blocking. So he's going to be really good in the passing game, but he might really hinder you in the run game with that 43 blocking. So you really need to think twice if you were going to change somebody to tight end from receiver. But anyways, all that aside, as far as editing players, so there's a couple of situations where you could find yourself, you're like, all right, this guy, I definitely need to change his ratings. So let's say that you're a huge Patriots fan. You've been watching, all the highlights, all the clips, reading everything you can about the Patriots in the offseason. You watched all the college highlights and N'Keal Harry, and you're like, there's no way he's got 88 speed. It's like this guy's way faster than that. He's at least 92, 93 speed. It's like I'm definitely changing that. Okay, you might be right, but for the purposes of this game, to make it challenging, no, you need to keep the players as they are. Do not edit them. The other place where I've kind of felt I would be justified in editing a player is whenever the players regress. Some of the player regression just makes no sense whatsoever. And, it makes no sense, but what you have to keep in mind is the other teams, their players regress at the same rate. And if you want to challenge, right, you can't be giving yourself an unfair advantage over the computer. So after the first year, Tom Brady usually regresses to an 88. And it's still a really good quarterback. But, if he's a 96 now, last year's Madden, he's a 99. So you follow, that linear regression, and be a 93, the next year. And going down to 88, you're like, no, he's probably not. He didn't regress that much, and you see stuff like his awareness. It's like, really? It's like, is his awareness going to decrease? If anything, it would go up. And you're like, all right, I'm going to bump him back up a little bit. But like I said, the computer isn't doing that, so it gives you an unfair advantage. So if you want to challenge, rule number 4, only edit players if you're changing position. All right. Now, on to number 5. So let's look at free agents available in week 1. All right. So up here at the top, we have Eric Berry, 86 overall. Let's look at his development trait. He's a star. Yeah, good development trait. And also look at his player archetypes. He's balanced pretty much across the board. He can play in any scheme. And at 30, he can still play for a couple more years. He's high enough overall. So this is a really, really good, top level starter. You can just have this guy for free. And to me, that seems a little bit cheap. Same thing, this guy right here. Now he's a little bit older. 34, not 84. 34 years old. And he's not as balanced as Eric Berry is. See his top archetype there, 83 in the run stopper, but he has that 70 in speed rusher. So from what I've seen, it seems that players, like if you had a defensive end that was, the archetypes were 83, 83, 83, all three were there, that player would perform better than William Hayes with his 83, 81, 70 archetype split. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So you got to be a little bit careful with these kind of players, but still, this is a good player. We got a Matt Bryant here, and his kicker. But Des Bryant, good receiver, just here on the scrap heap, another star. I'm not really sure how you pronounce his last name, but we'll just call him Jenkins. This guy's 26. He's a piece you can actually build with. You could sign him, then sign him in the offseason as well. He could be your tight end going forward. But anyways, so on the top screen here, we see these 7 guys. It's actually 8 guys that are all rated an 80 or above. For some reason, the computer does not sign these players until preseason week 2. So rule number 5 is I do not sign free agents preseason week 1. I give the computer the first chance to sign any of these guys. So let's see what happens after I advance 1 week. All right, free agents. What did we say? There was 8 of them. There were an 80 or above. Now we have 3 of them. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. And the top guys being 34, 33, and 39. That tight end just getting a 26-year-old, 81 overall, just for next to nothing. It just seemed really cheap. So let's move now to the next rule, which is related to this. Because I was like saying that you don't want to sign these top guys and not give the computer a chance to sign them. Well, now we've given them a chance. The computer that, hey, you had a week, you could sign these guys. You've chosen not to do that. So now we're going to sign them. All right. After you sign these guys, let's go ahead and sign them. They can stay on your roster the rest of the year. You can cut them. You cannot trade them. So let's find William Hayes. The left end. All right, and let's put him on the trade block. This isn't going to get me the absolute best offer I can get. Doing a custom trade, you're going to get your best trade. But let's just see what we get here. So, all right, scroll down to the bottom. Trade offers for William Hayes. And 246. Yeah, a 2, a 4, and a 6. This is a really good offer because we signed this guy. I think it's for $7 million, but it was all salary. There's no bonus. So if you don't know how it works, so bonus, you have to pay it no matter what. Salary, the team you trade the player to, they take on the salary. So the contract was all salary. So all that goes to the Eagles. So we got a guy that there was no downside to us signing him. We trade him away. We got a round 2, round 4, round 6 pick. This seems unfair, and it is unfair. The computer, they're not able to do stuff like this. So you shouldn't do it. That's my rule. Number 6 is no trading of players you signed during the season. So real quick before we go forward, I was talking about you could get these free agents at a discount price. So let's actually take a look here at, I'm going to back out of this and go to a different file. Okay, yeah, so my team is really bad here. I haven't done anything to improve the team, but we're just kind of demonstrating the way that you can break the game and some things you can do to make the game more challenging for you. I'm not actually trying to play right now. Okay, so this is the year 2 free agents. And there's a couple of guys that I'm going to highlight here. Damian Williams here at the top. Eli Apple, cornerback, who's only 25, 78 overall. and Randy Gregory. Oh, there he was. Passed him up. Still 27, relatively young. 77 overall. Okay, so let's look at their contract demands. So Gregory, he wants 1 year. They all want 1 year here because we're in the preseason. We're in the season. They only have the 1 year deals. He wants 3.53 million. Apple wants 4.6. And then Williams wants 3.46. Okay. Now we're gonna back out and we're gonna go to the off season before this. So we're looking at right here, in the preseason of year 2, what these guys wanted, the bargain bin price, what they were asking for. So let's look at the off season from the first year. So go to this off season week 1. So we're doing time traveling now. All right. So Williams. All right, if you remember, I said that he wanted 3.46 million. Well, in free agency, he's asking for 3 years, 15.5 million. So a little bit over 5 a year. So if you're going to sign this guy during the start of the regular season or preseason, you're saving $2 million on that first year, and you don't have to make the long-term commitment, and you don't have to give him any signing bonus. So that's just another reason why this thing is kind of broken. Like if you sign all the free agents preseason week 1, why you need to give the computer a chance to sign these guys before you do. We'll just look at one of the other ones. Eli Apple. Yeah, Eli Apple. So he's asking for 4 years, 28 million. That's a pretty big commitment, almost a $10 million bonus. We could have got him for 4.6. So that's 3 million less for the first year. Like I said, no bonus. So yeah, rule number 5, no signing of the free agents week 1. And rule number 6, no trading of these players during the season. Okay, so that takes us to rule number 7, right? Rule number 7 is you only get 2 free agent signings per offseason. Now, there's a couple of nuances to this. Now, let's say that William Hayes, let's say that we signed him off the scrap heap, and we didn't trade him away, because that's one of the rules. We can't trade him away. So let's say that William Hayes, we sign him, and then after the year, we want to re-sign him again. Or even better yet, let's say Eli Apple, because he's a young player. We're saying William Hayes is 34. We're probably not re-signing him, but Eli Apple. So he's 25. We signed him off the scrap heap at the beginning of the preseason. After the season, he shows up. We want to sign him again. Well, I said we only get 2 free agent signings per offseason. And he's not going to count all the way as one of those, but he'll count as half of one of those. Because he is kind of a free agent signing. He wasn't during the off season, but yeah, it's kind of in between. So we're just going to count him as one half. Now, these guys that actually do show up in the off season, these will count as one of your off season free agent signings. And you only get 2 of them. Okay, so let's see. Tom Brady. I guess obviously we would have had him re-signed. But one of the other things, it's not just signing 2 free agents, only signing 2 free agents, is you have to offer them a minimum amount of points for their contract. All right, so let's look right here. So he wants 1 year, 29.5 million. Let's just offer that and see what it looks like. 93 total points. Okay, he's happy with this. Now, let's do something kind of crazy here. Let's knock this way down. We wanted 29.5. Let's pretty much cut that number in half. So we're going to offer him 15 million. He's not as happy with that. 55 total points on the offer. Okay. Let's check out someone else here. Derrick Henry. He wants 5 years, 33.6. I'm like, no, that seems like too much. 33.6. We're gonna give you 5 years, 20 million. So, all right, and let's see what these. Let's see if they accept these offers. All right, we have no takers yet. Let's advance another week. Oh, let's see here. All right, Tom Brady accepted the contract. So we got Tom Brady for half the money that he wanted. Now, so that's part of the rule is you have to offer them at least 85 points. We only offered him 55 points. The 29.5 million he wanted, that was worth 93 points. So we could have taken that down a little bit, maybe got him at like 26 or something like that, which is okay. We get a little bit of a discount. But you can't get that much of a discount because, he is an 88 overall quarterback. It's a very valuable player, and you don't want to be signing them for an unfair price. So let's advance one more week and see if Derrick Henry signs with us. No, Derrick Henry, he wasn't going for it. I think if we would offered him a little bit more, he probably would have signed. And you see that he didn't reject it. He didn't accept it. He didn't reject it either. That means he's just going to show up next season as one of the free agents in the preseason. So, okay. So only 2 free agent signings. This is Rule 7. Only 2 free agent signings, and you have to make the offer of 85 points. If you re-sign a player that you signed off the bargain bin, that only counts as a half a free agent. Now, as far as re-signing your own free agents, because you get to the off-season re-signing period, and, sometimes you get that last chance to renegotiate, and it doesn't work, and they go into full free agency. That player does not count as one of your off-season free agent signings. That's one of your guys. So as long as you offer that contract of at least 85 points, that's fine. You can sign that player, and you can sign 2 more. So, all right. So, number 8, this is also involved with free agency. You have to, if you sign a player in free agency, a player that wasn't with your team before, you have to wait 1 year before you trade them. And really, I think if you sign a player to a new deal, even a player that was already with you, you need to wait a year to trade that player. Because if not, you just go to free agency. Let's say you don't really need anything. It seems kind of unrealistic for you just to go. It's like, I'm just going to sign, Derrick Henry to some undermarket deal, or Kareem Hunt was there, try to get him for an undermarket deal, just with the intentions of trading him for a first-round pick. It's just it's gaming the system a little too hard there. So that is rule number 8. All right. Number 9 is no more than 3 trades. Okay. So I think to best demonstrate this is we're going to look at the franchise right before the draft. This is the place where you can really just really take advantage of the computer.
The Raiders are now on the clock,
if you so desire. All right, we're going to skip ahead to our pick.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
All right, pick 20. Now, this isn't the best pick. This mid to late first round, you really don't get a lot of value. So we get a 2-4, 2-3, 2-3-3. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like that 2-3-3 would be the best offer we can get. But you can argue that you'd rather have the first rounder than that. Just
I
take
see
the deal.
both
Either
teams
way,
filling out
we're not
cards.
really worried
You know
about
what
it.
that means? We've got a trade.
All right. Let's look at our second round.
The
pick.
Patriots are now on the clock.
See what we can get here. All right. 2-7, 2-6, 2-6, Okay. Yeah. So we could get a second from either of these teams, along with an additional six. So, we just get a free 6th round pick. Um,
How come
Go ahead and
nobody's at the
accept that.
podium? That's because both teams are right now working on a trade. The Patriots are now on the clock.
All right. That second was actually from this year, so let's see if we can trade that back again. Looks like a 3-5 is the best we can do. 3-5, yeah. But the thing is you can just keep on trading back, getting more and more and more and more players. I mean, not players. Get more and more and more picks. Eventually, so whenever I first started playing this, I was like, oh, this seems like a great deal. I'll trade my 2nd round pick for a second round pick and a 6th round pick. I kept doing that until eventually you get to the point where you can't hold any more draft picks. I think it was like 25 of them, something like that. But yeah, you're definitely exploiting the system if you're stockpiling draft picks like that. And that's the main reason I've made the rule where you only get 3 trades per season. Okay. Now, of those 3 trades, only one of them can be a custom trade. And by custom, or manual trade, by manual trade, what I mean is you come over here, you put some players in and put some players in on the other side, and you make a trade. You can trade for a player, you can trade for picks, whatever you want to do. You can do one manual trade. The other 2 trades, they have to come from right here, the trade away pick, or like I did with William Hayes, and I used the trade finder. If you do 3 manual trades, you're probably going to get a much better value on those manual trades than you do using the trade finder. So it's just another way to prevent you from getting ahead on the system too much. So let's actually take a step back. Let's go back to the very beginning of the franchise. Let's just look at a couple of ridiculous trades that are available. So really what all this is doing, limiting yourself in free agency, limiting yourself in trades, is you're really making yourself have to build through the draft. And actually what you'll find, limiting yourself to 3 trades per year, is you're going to have to draft with those 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, which whenever I played before, I'd always scout, it's like, oh, here's some good players, early, mid rounds, the middle, late rounds, maybe 5th round talent, something like that. But then whenever it got on late, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of garbage here. I'm just going to trade this 6th round pick for a future 4th, But whenever you limit yourself to only 3 trades per year, you're going to have to pick players with these. And then also, you're not able to just, scoop up all the good players preseason week 1. So you're really going to have to do a good job of scouting and drafting to have a good team. You're going to have to be very smart with your free agent signings. So, okay, let's look here. I got a couple of examples that I was able to work out earlier of what I'm talking about with the trades and how it's just broken completely. All right, so Zach Martin, this is the highest rated player for the Cowboys. He's 28 years old, superstar development. You look at his 3 archetypes, 96, 95, 94, extremely balanced. Offensive linemen, their development trait is static. It cannot increase. So the only way to acquire one of these players is to draft them. They're very difficult to come by. Let's look at his contract. He's got a 6-year deal. He makes a pretty good bit, but he's going to be 33 at the end, so he's going to have a lot of regression over the course of this contract. But if you look at his total bonus, $20 million, so over 6 years, that's going to take a little more than $3 million per year off of that because, the Cowboys, they're going to have to pay that bonus. So last year, it's going to be like $11 million. And this year at 28, he should still progress. Let's see. He's close. Yeah, he should progress by the end of the year. So he'll be a 97 by the end of the year. So at 33, I mean, there's a good chance he's still a 90. So he'll be well worth that deal. Great player. So you think you have to give up a whole lot to get him? Well, their biggest needs are defensive tackle and strong safety. So Lawrence Guy, 29 years old. He's a year older. He only has a normal development trait, and his overall is 14 points worse. And if you look at his archetype distribution, 82, 76, 71, he's not a balanced player. He has a lot of holes. Anyways, let's offer him up. This is ridiculous. There's no way they'll accept this. And wow, this gets us more than 3/4 of the way there. Their second top need is for strong safety. Let's see what we can do there. Patrick Chung. That gets a pretty good way there as well. Patrick Chung, yeah, he is a star, but he's 32. There'll be nothing but regression. He's got a lot of XP to get if he's going to level up this year. I'm doubtful that he'd actually level up again. I think he's got 3 years left on his deal. It's not a player you'd want to consider trading Zach Martin for. But it looks like if we put these two together, Guy and Chung, we could get Martin. And actually, while we're here, it looked like each of the Chung and Guy individually got so far that we could probably get a little something else back from them. So let's just see if we can get a pick. Wow, really close. And bam, there we go. So we got Zach Martin. I think he's the best right guard in the entire game. And we got a 4th-round pick, and we gave up a 29-year-old and a 32-year-old. Yeah, that's a very unrealistic trade. I think a good rule of thumb is if it seems like it's too good to be true, that's because it is too good to be true. Don't do it. That's the rule number 10 is no crazy trades. Go through and try to make the trade make sense. So, all right, let's look here. Let's do another crazy trade. Saquon Barkley, 91 overall, superstar X Factor, 22 years old. I mean, this guy's he's gonna make it to a 99 overall without a doubt. He's not completely balanced with his archetypes, but as quickly as he's gonna hit 99, I mean, he's got to spend those skill points somewhere as he continues to level up. I mean, maybe he will eventually get 99 in all of his archetypes. Great player, still on his rookie contract. Let's see if we can trade for him. All right, what do they need? They need a quarterback, right tackle, center, middle linebacker, free safety. Okay. We're not going to give him Tom Brady. Let's see what they think about Hoyer, which is green. Interesting. Okay, that's non-zero interest. Let's look at what else. McCourty's high overall, but 32. And in the last year of his deal. Let's see what this does. Oh, okay, that does a little bit. Let's look at the linemen. It's interesting, so they need a lineman, but they're willing to get rid of Barkley to get linemen. But yeah, we have this great line now. There's nobody to run behind them. Okay, so it looks like we could probably piece together multiple of those guys. Get Cannon and Andrews. Yeah, we're almost there. We got Bentley here. I think he's just normal development. Yeah, 23. He's young, but if we get Saquon Barkley, we will 100% sleep well at night. Okay, yeah, so we gave up two, pretty good offensive linemen, but one of them's 30, the other one's 27. 27, that's a reasonable age, but 30, he's only going to regress, and he's normal development. That's canon. Bentley, he could become good, but I mean, that's no guarantee. Barkley, he's superstar X Factor. You can't regress in development trait this year in Madden, so he's always going to be that. He's going to level up at the highest rate. He's already a 91 overall, 22. This is an unreal trade. Would never happen in real life, and it shouldn't happen in your franchise either. So, okay. So I keep saying it's like let's do a trade, or you want to do a trade that's reasonable. So, all right. So let's look here at the Falcons. No, actually, let's look here at the Buccaneers. Okay. Now I know a lot of times whenever you play, you're like, oh man, it's like there's this, like I have a team that I really like, and I have like a young player that I really like. It's like me, my dad, he grew up in Massachusetts, big Patriots fan. I'm not the biggest NFL fan, but if I'm gonna have a team, I would say it's the Patriots. I really liked Devin White while he was at LSU. I thought he was a really good player. I mean, I'm a Alabama fan, but I kind of an aside, but I guess LSU would be like my second favorite team if I had to pick a second favorite college football team. So let's look at Devin White. Yeah, hidden development. Actually, already know that this is a superstar. So a 21-year-old rookie, superstar development. There should be, I don't want to say nothing that they would trade to give this guy up, but yeah, it should be very, very difficult to acquire a player like this. We're gonna try to acquire him, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to give them stuff that they need. So let's just kind of look through, and we can actually see right here that it's like they're pretty deficient at cornerback and safety, and strong safety. Their entire secondary is really weak. Quarterback, I think the game would still see him as a positive asset, only 25, 76. Not much going on with the running back. They're good at receiver. They got some holes on the offensive line. Defensive line, they could definitely use a left end there. But the thing is, I'm getting a superstar 21-year-old. So the thing is, like, the trade has to hurt a little bit if you're getting a player of that caliber. I mean, he's gonna skyrocket with his overall over the course of the season. He's a 74. He's probably gonna shoot all the way up to like an 80, 82 by the end of the season. I mean, by the time he's 25, he's gonna be a solid 90 overall. He's gonna be a really good player. He's already superstar, so he only has to get one more development trade upgrade to be the highest development you can be. So let's look. Yep. All right. Okay. So Gilmore, McCourty, Harmon, and that seemed like that was their biggest need, and then it left in, and well, the offensive line as well. All right. So. Excuse me. Stephon Gilmore is 28, the absolute highest development trait, and he still has 3 years left on his deal. I think this is the kind of deal. So the Bucks, you could say, hey, the Bucks are in win now mode. This is the kind of player they would want for Devin White. So if you're really going to give up something, this is the kind of player that you'd want to give up. Yeah. And it's a 20-point difference in their overall. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Oops. All right, I guess it's most of the way there, which it should. It's kind of crazy. They want so much, and it's a 20-point difference. That's their biggest position of need. They're a cornerback. But the thing is, he's a 21-year-old. He's on his rookie deal. I mean, he's making next to nothing. They even pay the bonus for us. So this guy's going to be dirt cheap and really good for us. And if we're going to go ahead and rebuild the team anyways, kind of blow it up a little bit, we'd rather have Devin White than Gilmore, because Gilmore, he's going to start regressing in a couple of years. So let's add a little bit more to the deal. Let's see. It said I think they needed an end. I can't remember if it was left or right. Yeah, they need a left end. Now, he's older, but can help them right now. All right, there we go. Trade offer accepted. Now, you might be looking at this saying, it's like, Jesus, that's ridiculous. I mean, Patriots aren't giving up Gilmore and Bennett for Devin White. And you're right. They're not. They're 100% not. With these manual trades you're doing, if you're going to go acquire these, super young, high development trait players, pretty much you need to rip yourself off if you're going to get that kind of player. And this is the kind of deal that you need to do. Otherwise, you're just going to make it too easy for yourself. So, so rules 9 and 10, no more than 3 trades per year. Number 10, no crazy trades, I guess, unless it's like this and you're the one that's getting ripped off. All right, it leaves us with 3 more rules. We'll go to number 13 first. Number 13 is whenever your first scouting comes up, it'll be week 2 or 3. I can't remember which one. It'll ask you if you want to auto-generate rookies. Yes, you want to auto-generate the rookies, and do not look at don't look at what their overall is. Don't go in there and edit the rookies, figure out who the best players are, who you're going to draft. That takes all the challenge out of it. All right, so we've already neutered, your ability to sign free agents. We've already neutered your ability to make trades. And if you just go in there and make it where you know who all the best players are in the draft, well, there's still no challenge, right? This is where you need to excel, scouting and drafting. All right. I guess we'll work backwards now. Number 12. No looking at draft stories. This makes it way too easy. All right, there's 3 big stories that come up every single year. All right, and we're going to look at one of them. All right, so over here we have Marsh named Heisman winner. All right, so we're going to look for Marsh. So there's the Heisman winner, and then there's the stuff, the coach's son, the rugby player converted, those things. You probably know what these stories are. It's just way too easy to find a player with a good development trait using these stories. We're trying to make this more difficult. Don't look at these. All right.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
We're just going to skip ahead to the end of the draft, and we're going to look for Marsh. All right, draft recap. Marsh. Where's Marsh? Well, he's not on the Patriots. You'd think he'd be drafted pretty high. Here he is, Marsh. Okay, hidden development trait, and I'm guessing this is going to be, superstar for the Heisman. I actually had I think it's the first franchise I did here on Madden 20. First 2 drafts, I saw the Heisman winner, and I got a middle linebacker, then a quarterback, X Factor, superstar X Factor, my first 2 drafts. And that really just set me on the way, the rest of my franchise. And it's like, it's nice, but you really want to have that challenge, and from that challenge, you get that sense of accomplishment. So that's rule number 12. Do not look at the draft stories. All right, and we did 13. We just did 12. Working back. I don't know why we decided to work back, but number 11, which will be the last rule that we go over. And this concerns undrafted free agents. Okay, so let's take a look here again. Let's team is god awful. But let's take a look here at some undrafted free agents. I'm just going to sort by practice squad eligible. All right, so we got a 67 overall kicker, 66 cornerback. I've actually already looked through this. So we have right here a 66 overall hidden development trait kicker. For some reason, it seems that the computer doesn't take into consideration development traits whenever they're signing undrafted free agents. Because I give them the preseason week 1. I give them that to sign it, and even after that, there's a lot of these guys who are still here. So you can sign these guys, and I think that's fine. The computer doesn't sign them, whatever. So we're gonna go ahead and sign the guy. And there's a tight end who also has a hidden development trait. Now the tight end, 22, 63 overall. He fits my scheme. You're like, 63. I don't know about that. Well, here's the thing. If you drafted, a 22-year-old 67 overall, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty good. Well, if the 67 overall had a normal development trait, this guy is going to be better than him, the guy with the hidden development trait. 63, it might take 2 seasons, maybe even by the end of the first. I don't know about that. But by the end of the second season, the guy with the hidden development trait, even though he starts off 4 points lower, he's going to pass the 67 overall. And the computer just doesn't see that. So there's kind of a market inefficiency here. You can grab these guys for next to nothing. $950,000. And you could just continue to rack up on these guys. And this class here of undrafted free agents is actually a really poor class. This is the best to have found. One of the first undrafted free agent classes I looked at, there is a 21-year-old, 67 overall safety with a hidden development trait. I mean, that would have been a really good pick if I'd have picked him in the 3rd round, second round. I'd have been very happy with that pick, especially with the development trait. But he was just there for the taking. I found offensive lineman, 68, 69 overall. I found the craziest thing I found a kicker, a 21-year-old kicker, 70 overall. He ended up having superstar development rate. His 21-year-old 70. I mean, that's as good as you can get there. And it was just for free. And I kind of noticed I felt like I was just getting ahead on the computer too much by signing these guys. So I decided I need to put some restrictions on myself with these. So what I did is I'm just gonna skip ahead. I've already skipped ahead, but all right. So this would be the free agency after we sign those 2 guys, the kicker and the tight end. Okay, so the rules are kind of simple but kind of complicated. Is you need to treat them like you drafted them. That is, you can only sign them to a 3-year deal after that first season they're with you. So that would mean they're with you 1 year plus the 3 more years of the deal. So it's just like having them on a rookie contract. Because what I was doing is I would just sign them to these like 6-7 year deals, and I'd have them till they're 28, 29. If the guys really broke out, I'd have a guy that was like an 80, 85 even, and he's making $2 million a year. That's ridiculous. So, and no rookie is going to sign a 7-year deal. That's insane. So what I do is I sign them to a 3-year deal, but I can't just go out and, I might have a class with like 6 or 7 of these guys. I can't just go out and sign every single one of them. There's got to be some price I pay. So these count the same as those other guys off the bargain bin free agent crop. So they count as a half free agent. Alternatively, what you can do, or what I do, is I can essentially trade a draft pick for one of these guys. And the way I do that is I have a I have tiers of players. So if I had a player, undrafted free agent, that was a 60 or below, I would give up a 7th round pick for him. All right. Then it goes 61 to 63, 6th round pick, 64 to 66, 5th round pick, 67 to 69, 4th round pick, 70 plus, 3rd round pick. Then there's 2 modifiers for that. So if it's a hidden development trait, the cost will increase by 1 round. So that means, like, if I had this guy here, Todd Draper, so he's a 63. That means just his base value, it'd be a 6th round pick. But with the hidden development star, I'd have to give up a 5th for him. Then the other one is if it's a kicker, punter, or fullback, you decrease the round by 1. So he's a 66, which would mean he costs a 5th. So he'd go back by 1 round to a 6, but then the development trait takes him back to a 5th. So the thing is, like, how do you just get rid of one of those picks? How do you trade one of those picks for a undrafted free agent? And what I do is it's like I said, I'd have to get rid of a, was it 2/5 here? Trade Center's not open right now. But I would just go in, I would take that 5th, I would trade it to another team that had a 7th. I just start with, like, the Bears, and it has the teams listed alphabetically in the manual trade center. I'd make a trade with the Bears. Next time I need to sign an undrafted free agent, I'd make a trade with the Bengals, which I think is the second one alphabetically. And I'd just continue to go on down the line like that. So you either have to pay the price for these undrafted free agents by getting rid of one of your draft picks. And, and sorry, I didn't finish, but you trade for that 7th-round pick, and you just draft a really bad player. Go down to the bottom of the list, draft a player, and then just cut them. You trade for the 7th-round pick, so you don't have to worry about the cap hit of having a big bonus. Yeah, you have to pay a price for the undrafted free agents, whether it's him counting as a half free agent or giving up one of your draft picks. So, all right, and that's all my rules. I am going to start. I'm actually going to start a series, and I'll start with the Patriots, my favorite team, and then I'll probably do some other teams after that. I'll go year by year, and I'm going to use these rules that I put in place for myself, and I'll put those videos together, and hopefully some people watch that, and they can reference back to this for why I'm doing the rules as I'm doing it. But a quick recap of what the rules are is rule number 1, simulate all games. Number 2, pick a scheme and stick with it. Number 3, no looking at the hidden dev traits. Number 4, you only edit players for position. Number 5, no signing of free agents week 1. Number 6, no trading of any of those players signed during the season. Number 7, only 2 free agent signings per offseason, and you must meet that 85-point minimum requirement. Number 8, whenever you re-sign a player, you have to wait 1 year until you trade them. Number 9, no more than 3 trades per year. And with that, only 1 can be a manual trade. Number 10, no crazy trades. Number 11, with the undrafted free agents, can only resign to a 3-year deal. Then you have to pay the price, whether it be counting as a half a free agent or giving up a draft pick. Number 12, no looking at draft stories. And number 13, you must auto-generate your rookies. Don't edit them. Do not look at anything about them. Just scout them. All right, and that's it. So thanks.